The reserve list is dead. That's what players have been hearing for months now. But if that were really the case, why would the sales continue to be there? Why would players continue to buy the cards at lower and lower prices? In today's video, we're going to be taking an in-depth look at what's happening in the top 10, but also we're going to discuss what the reserve list is doing right now and how players need to prepare. Reprints are killing Magic the Gathering. This is something we have all been hearing about for the last few months. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here. Thanks again for hanging out with me on my channel today. And the way players feel about reprints, there's lots of different angles people can take. They're pro, they're con. But let's focus on what the company Wizards of the Coast is doing. They are putting out a lot of reprints, and it will take time for the information of the lack of sales to get back to the mothership for them to make adjustments, and the adjustments will come. Any player out there who thinks that Wizards of the Coast wants to kill the golden goose that gives them all their money, they need the reprint equity to make the money, so they know they can only squeeze it so far, and eventually they will shut off the valve. But right now, the way the ecosystem that Magic is right now, the way it works, is there are commander players, you got standard players, you got arena players, there's all these little facets, right? Pick some all the little faucets, they get turned on and off all the time. And somewhere in the back room, behind 3 or 4 doors, a couple plate steel doors, down the basement with the rats and stuff, that's the reserve list. It's got an old rusty knob, nobody's used it in forever, and the odd time somebody comes down and tries to fiddle with it to see if they can make it work, and it just doesn't pan out. And that's where we are with the reserve list. It is being ignored. With all the outside pressure of the world right now and the way money is working in its current climate, players, investors, people out there are putting their money in other places. They're not putting into collectibles. Alpha Investments is 100% right on that. That's not where people are putting it. But that means there are players out there who are taking advantage of lower prices. I've talked about this week after week. And I'm becoming more and more sure of what's happening the longer it goes because you can see the sales. Now, it's not buyouts. It's not these massive things. But anything more than 30, 40, 50 sales in a week, that is a buyout. That's a couple hundred copies a month of some card that supposedly nobody cares about. And the cards I'm going to show in today's video, most of these cards have utilitarian purposes and players do play with them. So it's interesting to see that now that these prices have fallen to these levels, cards I've not seen on the reserve list are on the list. Like, these cards don't usually make it to my top 10. They're reserve list cards, but they're not usually here. And they haven't been since 2021. And they're starting to find themselves back on the list. And it's due to price. When the price is this low, and any player who loves reserve list cards is going to start looking around saying, where can I find a bargain? What's a card I've always wanted to own? And they're starting to buy it because they recognize, or at least they believe they recognize, the signs that eventually the wheel will turn. The page in the storybook's going to go to the next chapter and things will evolve further and things will get better. It doesn't happen overnight. Doesn't take a week or two, a month or two. It can take years. It can take years for the market to turn, just like it does in real life. Does that mean you stop doing what you're doing? No. You keep pushing forward. You keep trying to get ahead. And one card here, one card there, spending 10, 20 bucks here and there, doesn't make much of a difference now. But what about 10 years from now? What happens if that card becomes super spicy later on? What happens if a stock you buy now at 40 bucks becomes a $100 stock a year from now? You're overjoyed. You made the right move. But you won't know unless you take that risk. And some players right now are willing to risk it because the new cards, the way the reprint world is working right now for Magic, players have lost such faith that the negativity is like palpable in the air. Everyone talks about it all the time, including myself, about how Wizards has done permanent damage. But all things change. And if you think Wizards of the Coast can't right the ship, you're insane. Of course they can right the ship. They can do a few tweaks here and there, cut supply here, make a couple of cool cards here, and everyone forgives them. They can do better card quality. They can improve things with a few little flips of a switch, lose a little bit of money, and they're back on top again. And players eventually have short memories and things move on. And for those players taking advantage of the loopholes, they're the ones who are going to come out ahead because they're not ignoring the signs. They're rolling with the waves, hoping and praying things get better, but also basing it on what has happened in the past. So today's video is very interesting to be able to report everything I'm going to show you in the video. I hope you guys are ready for something because it's kind of strange to see this stuff happen, but at the same time, it's a sign of the times. The prices right now are a sign of the negativity and other people are taking advantage of it, making the best of what they can. Guys, I hope you enjoy it, because you know what? We're going to hit the party now. We're going to start this top 10 and we're going to see exactly what we're talking about. Starting out at number 10 this week is Preacher from the Dark, with 33 sales September 1st to the 8th of 2023. With an average price tag here in Canada at $60 Canadian, the average price in the US is $49.57 US. The market price is $43.23, €43.48 to get this card into your house. And the Preacher does deserve quite a bit of attention. Most people forget this card exists, and the fact it can gain control of things is something players need to be aware of. It is a 3 casting cost, 2 white, 1 generic for a 1/1. It does say Summon Preacher, and that is a card type we will no longer see in Magic the Gathering. And it says tap to gain control of one of opponent's creatures that opponent chooses, which target creature you control. If Preacher becomes untapped, you lose control of this creature. You may choose not to untap Preacher. Okay, so it's an amazing card. It gains control of things. I do recommend using a board wipe or getting rid of most creatures out of your way, limiting the selection that your opponent has before you gain control of a creature. It's epic fun. Now, when we're taking a look at our number 9 card this week, it is Earthcraft, and that is from Tempest. It's $114.62 US is the average price. Here in Canada, it's around $150. The market price is $99.82 US, €82.96 to get this card into your house. And as you can see, it had 35 sales this week. This card has had continued downward pressure, but it's something to be noted here inside this card is the fact of what it does. It is a very cheap casting cost enchantment. 1 green, 1 generic. Tap an untapped creature you control to untap a target basic land. This opens up all types of possibilities, and honestly, if you looked on TCG Player, you can find this card for less than 100 moderately played. And if you're going to be doing that and you're using TCG Player, please remember to use my affiliate link. It is found in the description of all my videos. If you click on my TCG link, it will take you for your shopping experience on TCG Player, but this channel gets a kickback of 3.5%, which helps me buy cards for the channel and help better prepare for the 20K party and the fun we're going to have when we get there. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, let's go down and check out the number 8 card, and that is from Weatherlight, Scorched Ruins, 38 sales this week. Average price tag is $50.90 US. Here in Canada, by the way, it's about $80 Canadian. Market price is $45.83 US, €24.73 to get this card into your house. You see this in a lot of decks that I used to use, like all my early Eldrazi decks, because you want to be able to tap for as much mana as you possibly can. Plus, with new cards like Renin 6, Crucible Worlds, there's ways of bringing those lands back, so it's not as big of a sacrifice as people believe it to be. Also, the card had a massive spike when we saw the new Commander Masters Commander decks come out, had a big spike. It is trending down now. You definitely can wait. This card will slip in price, but for now, there's a lot of attention being drawn to this, so just keep an eye out for it. The price will dip in about 120 days. Number 7 this week is Brain Geyser, and that is Revised Edition with 40 sales this week. The average price tag continues to fall on this card. It's only $15.95 for a near mint one, and kudos and congratulations to the players who bought a whole bunch of the moderately played copies for $4 and $5. That was amazing, smart move, glad you did it. It just shows that some players recognize the value and the fact if you want to play with a card, you don't need near mint, you just need the real deal. Now, the market price is $14.57 US, €15.13 to get this card into your house. And of course, here in Canada, it's around $18. And of course, Brain Geyser being one of those iconic cards, you see all the brains in the distance, right? And it's just shooting up rays of light like it's beaming directly into your brain. And it says target player must draw X cards. That can mean a lot of things in Commander games, vintage, legacy, casual formats. This card is a card most players should own. They're readily available, they're very cheap and inexpensive, but they also are reserve list. Let's go ahead and take a look at our number 6 card this week, and it's City of Shadows from the Dark. We had the Preacher at number 10, now you have City of Shadows at number 6. This card had 40 sales this week. Average price tag is $61.50 US. Market price is $64.66 US. €51.87 to get this card into your house. And of course, here in Canada, it's around $100 still. So you'd be best to buy this on a platform like TCG Player, Card Market, Card Kingdom. Look outside of Canada because you can save a lot of money even with the shipping costs. It's your better bet. Now, City of Shadows being from the dark and the whole history behind it, this is where all the wizards went to hide during the purification thing where they were killing everyone off who was a wizard. And it says, sacrifice one of your creatures, but remove it from the game. Instead of placing it in your graveyard, put a counter on City of Shadows. Tap and add X colorless mana to your mana pool. Well, X is the number of counters on City of Shadows. So what I like to do, I've talked about this in my commander deck, I sacrifice Thrall tokens, Kobold tokens, but I block with them first. Block and sacrifice. The City of Shadows gets bigger and bigger, offers me a little bit of way of slowing people down. It's a very great card. I don't know why people value it so low. This thing was over $200 in early 2022, and look where it is now. It's less than half the price. Players can take advantage. You can find this thing, I think, in some of the online TCG places have it for $30 for moderately played, $30 US. I think even $18 if you're in the US. So keep an eye on that. Take a look around, guys. Now, number 5. Another surprising one is Humility, and this is from Tempest. Now, this card has not been on the list for a very long time, but surprisingly, the sales kind of surged up a bit. I'm basing this all on the fact that it's had a lower attention to it. Prices continue to fall. No one's really paid attention to the value of the card, what the card can do for you. So the average price tag is only $56 US. The market price is $55.99 US, €42.68 to get this card into your house. Here in Canada, $75. But taking a closer look what the card does. Number 1, artwork's amazing. I've always loved the artist. I mean, Fogler was awesome. 2 white, 2 generic, and this thing is an enchantment. It says, each creature loses all abilities and is a 1/1 creature. Talk about a show-stopping effect. Talk about just freezing people in their tracks. You have some big 10/10 dragon? No, you don't. You've got a 20/20 Eldrazi? No, you don't. This kind of card stops everything, and Wizards hates that nowadays. So this is why cards like this don't exist. But the way the reserve list has been right now, with so many prices being suppressed and falling, I'm not surprised a card like this went under the radar. But it's never been really higher than $100. It's always kind of hovered in this area. So if you're a player looking to get this card, and there were players out there who bought this card for $35 US last week, which is why I think people started to notice it more. So either way, look around. The price will continue to fall. This is for a near mint copy. Look for the beat up copies. You can find them if you're just looking for the real card. Now, number 4 this week is Fork. 49 sales. I think it's because it was on the list last week. A lot of attention got drawn. Some decks have been playing it locally, I've seen, and I've seen a lot of friends using it again. Now, for those who didn't know, Fork is, of course, revised, alpha, beta, unlimited, collector edition ones, but this card has an average price tag of only $39.89 US. The market price is $38.20, €18.66 to get this card into your house. So when we're taking a look at the card and where it could be, when you take a look at Fork and recognize how amazing the card is, being able to duplicate spells for just 2 red mana, choosing new targets, this is one of those cards that fits in so many different decks for so many different reasons that it really shouldn't be ignored by any player. Because eventually if this card does go up in value, if it does rebound at some point, and you get a chance to buy it for $12 to $15 US, a beat up copy, a moderately played copy, nobody says you have to buy near mint, but at least owning one means you never have to go looking for it again for any commander deck construction in the future. Owning one of certain reserve list cards that do see a lot of play, even though they're downtrodden in price and being ground in, it's just a benefit to players to be able to buy it this cheap. And the failure to recognize that, well, that's on you, not anybody else. So don't come crying FOMO later and saying it's too expensive when you had the chance to buy it. Let's go ahead and take a look at the number 3 card this week in its second chance. Now, I would not normally be looking at this card, but I did get an email, so I reviewed the sales, looked around, and sure enough, Urza's Legacy Second Chance had 52 sales this week from the 1st to the 8th. The average price tag on this thing was as high as $30, and right now it's $5.13. The market price is $4.51. A foil, of course, is still very expensive at $130.25. And it's €3.52 to get this card in your house, $10 here in Canada. And for anyone who didn't know what this card does, and you should know, because it does have gameplay. You can do stuff with this. It's a good shenanigan card. 1 blue, 2 generic, it's an enchantment. During your upkeep, if you have 5 or less life, sacrifice Second Chance to take an extra turn. I used to use this all the time with Fast Bond in my Legacy Vintage decks, early old school stuff, because I would just sack my life down, playing land out. And then this would be out there. I'd get an extra turn, regain my life, redo everything over and over and over again, using Time Twister to rehash this and reshuffle it into my deck. It was crazy times. It was so much fun to do. And if you had 4 in play, you could take 4 turns. It's kind of like a cheap version of Time Walk. You just needed the combination to go with it. Unrecognized, unloved, doesn't matter. Players are either going to buy it or they're not, but it's kind of a cool card. Now, number 2 this week, Rainbow Veil. Fallen Empires, we all know it's a hated set. Everyone, blah, it's evil set. Go get some tacos. Now, look at this card. 73 sales tells me somebody's paying attention again. I looked at Contour and a few other cards. They didn't get a lot of movement, but Rainbow Veil definitely had some sales. Average price, $7.32 US. Market price, $7.08. €5, 74 cents to get that card into your house. Yes, sir. And of course, here in Canada, it's around $10. Remember, this card again, same artwork. That's why I love it. Same as Humility. Amazing. The siblings, married couple, whatever. Great stuff. Now, this one here says it's a land. Tap to add 1 color to your mana pool, and then you pass to an opponent, which in this case, you choose your opponent, right? You're playing at a commander game. But in our case, we used to just like sack this to things like Zuranorb, and then rehash it back with other ways of getting your land back. So, great card. And of course, the right mana at the right time. But this is not the number 1 card. This is number 2. You've waited this long. You've made it here down the Yellow Brick Road to see what's in the Gates of Oz. And this is your number 1 card. And yes, it's Fast Bond. I didn't mean to raise my voice there. I apologize, everyone. But it's Fast Bond. 139 sales from the 1st to the 8th. And this is the bane of Moxman's existence as we go through. But there are many rumors now starting to circulate about this card becoming unbanned. I'm hearing it more and more. I have no confirmed anything. Obviously, the commander circle is going to decide what they want to decide. But the people buying this card on speculation that it gets unbanned and gains them a massive amount of money, they may be onto something. I've talked about this card for years being the possible chance to really cash in. The card's been as high as $75. It's 1/4 what it used to be. And the possibility of this card jacking up through the roof and becoming a $90 card overnight because it gets unbanned is entirely possible. These things do happen in Magic, and they could happen at any time. We don't know when, where they do bannings now. They could decide to do it a year from now, 2 years from now. But are you willing to wait and hold on to your $15, $10 investment and see if it yields you $100 to $150 in profit if a card becomes unbanned? That rumor mill can really get people thinking about FOMO. Now, of course, there's not a lot of attention being drawn to reserve list cards right now, and that makes them that much more susceptible to price reductions, to discounts, to other people who need liquidity in the market, allowing you to take advantage of those low prices and the possibility of future gains in speculation. Pay attention to it. You never know what's going to happen. I would not put all my eggs in that kind of basket right now. I own like 8, 9 copies of it that I have spare, all near mint. So if it ever spikes up, at least I know I got a little bit in there, but I'm not willing to divulge in there and say, hey, I'm going to buy 100 copies. Are you buying 100 copies? Let's both buy 100 copies. That's kind of crazy to me to spend thousands of dollars hoping on something becoming unbanned. But you know what? Crazier things have happened. It's something to always keep an eye out for. I'm not going to say it can't happen. I remember a time when I thought Time Vault would never become unbanned. And that card was like a $30 card. Unlimited. $30. And then they unbanned it and the card came back to life. Twiddle Vault. You see where I'm going. So either way, it's a crazy world in Magic the Gathering with the highs and lows, wall of fatigue at the end of the year, people crying poor, people saying this isn't fair. But either way, the markets continue to move the way they're going to, and people are still taking advantage of amazing prices on the reserve list. Thanks again for tuning in and hanging out with me today. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone on the live stream tonight, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. And of course, if you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Join in and help us get closer to the 20,000 subscriber mark. And of course, the 20K party when we get there, because you're all going to be invited, I'm telling you. And always, bring a friend to Magic. I'll see you guys later. Have an awesome day. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out here at the end of the channel. These are the Patreon supporters, the supporters that allow for this content to be created daily for everyone to enjoy. So thanks again for the amazing support these patrons and YouTube membership members show me. Guys, have a great one. Welcome back to the Ramble Jamble. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. Appreciate you guys each and every day. If you made it this far, please remember to put Necronomicon inside the comment section. Okay, just Necronomicon. That way I know you made it to the very end. It may be important. I'm not going to say why. A reminder, I'm away next weekend. I won't be here Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, so there probably won't be a video until Tuesday, so it'll be a few day lapse. I know that doesn't normally happen, but we're actually going away for our anniversary. Mrs. Mox puts up with me. She deserves the best of the best. She knows how crazy my work life is, so a little bit of a break for her is important, of course, to remember how we appreciate each other. So thanks again, guys. And yeah, I'm taking Mini Mox with me. He'll be fine. We'll throw him in the water somewhere. He'll live. Looking forward to seeing you guys later. Live stream, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. We have the Patreon giveaway this weekend. Should be a good time for everyone. Looking forward to seeing you guys there. Hope you can make it out. Have an awesome day. You guys rock. Remember that. Necronomicon.